Good morning, my friends, on this cold, blistery morning. I'm starting an hour later today to give us all a break. I had a sleepover with friends last night and wanted to give myself a chance to sleep a little bit longer. So, good morning on this Martin Luther King Jr. celebration of his life day. And I wonder what kinds of questions he asked himself that brought him to the level of leadership and power that he commanded. With his famous I Have a Dream speech, what was it in him that brought him to that realization of who he was? When he looked in the mirror, what did he see? When he looked in the mirror, did he say, I love you, Martin, for all that you are and all that you will be? When you look in the mirror, what do you see and what do you feel when you say, I love you? Long ago, I established the habit of looking in the mirror and saying, Sheila Pearl, I love you. I love you for everything that you are, everything that you're not, everything that you will be, everything that you think you are, everything that you are afraid you might be or are not, because it's all in there. I love it all. It gives me texture, it gives me tension, it gives me context, it gives me challenges. Most of all, I love you, Sheila Pearl, for being the perfect imperfection you are. So when you look in the mirror and you say, I love you, what do you feel? What do you think? And what do you believe? Do you believe it's weird to say to yourself, I love you? Do you think it's weird or strange, or is it uncomfortable to believe in yourself even when you can't see your own possibilities? That's part of what this window continues to open up for all of us as we go through this list of truth-telling questions. There are 18 questions to consider in this list for this week, for this window number 2. And I'm calling them windows. We can call them conversations. We can call them levels. Windows are openings to and from the inside and the outside, are they not? So right now I'm sitting at a desk of my friend and I'm looking straight ahead at the windows that are in front of me. They go outside her home. And likewise with the windows of who we are. We're looking outside of ourselves and we're also looking inside of ourselves. The windows are important pathways of seeing in and seeing out. So I've been reviewing one of my favorite workbooks by Louise Hay, just so you see. This is wonderful. Love Yourself, Love Your Life workbook by Louise Hay. I suggest that you get yourself a copy. It's not that I'm trying to reinvent the wheel, because I'm not, but I'm also not ignoring what the masters and my teachers and my mentors have done before me. So the work I do is building on what they've done. And at the very beginning of her book, she begins, before she even asks some of the more important questions as she gets into the depth of the workbook itself, kind of like an introduction to the introduction. She lists a number of words, words like men, women, sex, love, success, work, uh, and invites the person who's going through this process to fill in the blanks, maybe 3 examples of what occurs to them with each of those words. And it's information. So for instance, if you were to take the word sex, what would you fill in? Or the word love, what would you fill in? They could be, for sex, something, it could be pleasurable, it could be frightening, uh, sex could be abusive, sex could be loving connection. The answers to what you will fill in is unique to you. What do you believe? What do you see? What do you think about so many things about yourself and about your life? And if you were to ask yourself some of these questions 5 years ago or even a year ago, your answers might be very different. So when you look in the mirror and you say, I love you, what are the emotions that you feel? For example, this morning I did that and I felt at home. I felt safe with me. I felt acknowledgement of myself. I felt okay with acknowledging that I still have many things on my to-do list. When I say to-do list for things to work on inside as well as outside, to declutter more both the inside of my interior life as well as my exterior. It's part of my project for 2019. So I'm going to review just a few of the questions for you, along with you, and at the conclusion of my posting this live video, I will also post or I will upload the list for you. So what I acknowledge as one of my strengths is, and you know, it's interesting because it depends on what mood you are in any particular day, doesn't it? So what would you acknowledge as one of your most important strengths today? Because it's important to pat yourself on the back, say, well done. Or I know I have something inside that I can't really claim, it's just there. Or I acknowledge that it's there, it's a strength and I want to develop it. It's like a talent. A talent is something you're born with. A strength is kind of something you're born with. And then you choose how to develop and add to that, to stretch it, to expand on it. So I would say one of my strengths is to be able to pause. That was not always the case, but I've been practicing. So I don't immediately react to most things at all. And I kind of established a habit of pausing, recognizing maybe something has triggered me, maybe something has thrown me off guard, maybe something is causing me to feel very uncomfortable. And I pause. I wait. I don't react. Now, in the work I do, having conversations every day with people about the tough stuff in their lives, my job is to do exactly that and not to react, to be present and to pause. When somebody's telling me about very difficult things going on, very profound, very hurtful, very painful, my job is to be present and to be empathic and to have my heart right next to that person, but not to react, to pause. So I acknowledge that one of my strengths is being able to remain still, which is a form of pausing. Another one of my strengths, which may come from one of my talents, I was born with a talent to sing. Now, part of what comes with a talent to sing may have something to do with a talent to present, to be a presenter, to be able to be in front of people, whether it's singing or speaking or facilitating, for instance, a workshop, which is one of the things I love to do. So the talent has something to do with something I'm born with that I have over the past many decades, I've developed it. And it's also acknowledging that I have a responsibility to use it and to use it well. So if you were to just take the second question on the questions number 2 for this window number 2 and acknowledge one of your strengths. You can write in the comments if you want to, just for the record. Then, what would you acknowledge as one of your weaknesses? Now, some of us don't want to even face the fact that we may have weaknesses. But if you're a human being, you can't have strengths without weaknesses. You can't have up without down. You can't have light without dark. It's just a part of the law of the universe. If we have strengths and talents, we have weaknesses and deficits. There are things that we can see and do well, and there are things we can't see and we can't do well because we don't even know it's there. So it goes to part of the issue of blind spots, which we'll talk about in a few weeks. So what would you describe as a weakness for you? One of my weaknesses is not paying attention to things like clutter. So I need to pay attention to my environment, to my surroundings, and to declutter or to prevent clutter or to clean up clutter. It's a weakness because I don't pay attention to it. I don't really see it. It's not like what I'm focusing on. And if it's clutter on the outside, I can be pretty sure that I probably have clutter on the inside. So I need to pay attention to whatever has been clogging the drain pipes, as it were, in my body and in my thoughts and in my spiritual life. So I'll kind of do an assessment about the extent to which I might be cluttering myself physically and emotionally and spiritually, and to take care of that as well. So these are different ways of looking into yourself and being truthful with yourself about yourself. Number 4, when I don't get what I expect from others, my usual emotional reaction is, again, when I don't get what I expect from others, my usual emotional reaction is. Now be honest with yourself and remind yourself that when we have expectations that are not met, our reaction is usually anger and hurt because we're feeling disappointed. So this is about becoming more emotionally aware, more emotionally intelligent. As you really explore more of the internal you and you're honest with yourself about what may often go on one way or another and get in the way of your feeling at ease with yourself or feeling at ease with the people that are closest to you, it's important to be able to tell the truth to yourself about that. So let's say that you expect on your birthday for certain people to give you some kind of gift, and you don't get something from someone that you expected to get something from. So your usual emotional reaction might be, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling disappointed, and I'm feeling resentful, or I might even, I might even withdraw. I might give the silent treatment. I might do all kinds of things that are in the realm of reactions. If I catch myself and I realize I'm feeling disappointment or sadness or hurt when something doesn't go the way I expect, then I can have a little conversation with myself and say, well, how do I want to respond to this emotion that I'm having? Because I'm feeling really sad or hurt or disappointed. Really, really. And then I remind myself, was it a realistic expectation? And is my reaction to that unreceived gift or expectation, is that fair? Is that reasonable? And then I could speak my truth to the other person and say, I just want you to know, I thought maybe because it was my birthday, you might have acknowledged it in a particular way, and I'm feeling kind of hurt or disappointed. I know that may be hard because it might, get in the way of getting something that you expect in the future because you think maybe you're only getting it because you said something about it. But it's important to have a conversation with yourself first. And then if it really is eating you up, to say something to your friend, your too beloved. So when I can see that it would be to my benefit to be transparent about things about myself I really want to hide from others, the emotions I want to access are, what do you think? If I know that I'm really going to have trouble letting you know something about me that's hard to be transparent about, but I want to reveal it, I want to be transparent, what are the emotions or what are the tools, my internal tools, that I need to access in order to do that? What comes to mind? For me, it would be courage. I don't know what it might be for you, but it would be courage that overrides the fear of you having maybe some judgment about me. How about my own self-acceptance? Perhaps the emotion of compassion towards myself, that I've been afraid up until now to reveal something to someone else I care about. But I really want to be transparent because I really don't want that to stand in the way, because I really want to be more intimate with you. And I know I can be that if only I could open up. Well, I can open up more easily if I really accept that thing about myself that I've been holding back. If I really have compassion for myself in being afraid to let you know about that. And then I grab hold of that wonderful tool called courage and remind myself that courage really is all I really need to overcome my fear, because the fear is usually something that is an illusion. So I'm going to take a look at a couple of the questions here. When I spend money on someone I love for something which is a luxury, I feel. Now, in a way, for me, that's easy. When I spend money on someone I love, on something that I'd call a luxury, I feel excited and grateful that I have the money at that moment to spend something on something that's a luxury for someone I love. I feel this tremendous gratitude and fullness of heart, and I feel a joy and so happy and excited to give this gift, which is something of a luxury. For instance, tickets to the theater. You might see that as a luxury, and often it is. It's also kind of a timeless gift because it's an experience. So I understand that something like that you can give, and it's the gift that keeps giving as well. So here's the trick question. When you spend money on yourself, on something that you feel is a luxury, I feel. Now, a lot of us have no problem even going into debt, buying something for someone we love that's a luxury, but it's something we enjoy giving, and we feel great about it, and we feel excited about it. But when it comes to buying something for ourselves that's in the category of a luxury, are you as excited about that? Or do you want to hide it? Do you want to share that with other people? Let them know that you feel that good about yourself, that you feel that you deserve to have something that is in the category of a luxury? Or do you feel embarrassed or ashamed? Is it the kind of thing where if you're married and you have a partner, you want to hide from your partner that you bought something that was really expensive because you don't want to have a fight? Because you know there might be a fight? Or you don't want to have to explain yourself? Do you see where this kind of question goes? So I want you to explore that. I want you to dig deep and really be honest with yourself so that you're not just skimming the surface. And I know a lot of you may be joining me later today or tomorrow. It's a holiday for a lot of us, and you may be sleeping late and out and about. So when you get to it, I'm interested in what some of your answers are. You can always private message me as well. The last question that I have, number 18, the one thing that scares me the most, which I know could benefit from overcoming, would be. So think about the one thing that scares you. Could it be taking a leap of faith in a relationship? Could it be taking that next step in moving closer in a relationship, really allowing yourself to be vulnerable in a close, intimate relationship? The thing that scares you most might be actually writing that book that you've always wanted to write, but you're afraid that you can't really do it, or you can't do it well, or when you get it done, you're going to fall flat on your face. And that's I would say most people who write books have that fear, and most people who have that fear, who write books, obviously overcome the fear. They do it anyway. What is it that you really most fear, and you know that if you can overcome the fear, it would be hugely beneficial to you? So think about that. Write a list of the things that scare you, and then next to that list, write the benefits of overcoming that fear. Years ago, it was about the time I was entering my 70s. I wanted to write books, and I entered a contest. And in the contest, we were required to submit a proposal and a video about the concept of the book. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I thought I was going to submit a book that I had been working on, and my intuitive little voice said, no, you're going to write a book called Ageless and Sexy. Well, I almost won the contest. I got to the finals. I was one of the 4 finalists. And I'm glad I didn't win the contest, because the one book that I thought I was writing is turning into more like 12. So I've written 2 of the 12, but it began with the first page. It began with the outline. It began with the video in which I was pitching the idea of the book. It began with the proposal that I wrote, in which I had to outline the aspect of the book. And it took on a life of its own. But I was scared. And when I finally, several years later, 3 years ago, I published the first of these books, the Ageless and Sexy books, I got to tell you, going through that final step of pressing the send button, knowing that when I did that, it would publish on CreateSpace, which is a division of Amazon. I knew that was it. Once you've kind of pressed that button, it's in the works. I couldn't go back and take it back and say, oh, I changed my mind. Likewise with having children. You know, you can't take it back. You can't take the child back. And it's frightening, the responsibility of bringing a child into the world, much less several. And yet, we do it. We're afraid we can't do it. And yet, what's the benefit? The benefit of doing the very thing we're most afraid of is that we face the magnificence of what life can really be. So I wish you a wonderful week ahead, and use the tools. I look forward to being with you online in many ways. Bye for now.